Hello and good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are just ready to begin CRL's webinar on licensing and acquisitions 2015 fiscal year 2016. I see a number of people are just clicking in. So as they join us, I wanted to thank you for taking the time today. We are very pleased to have a number of our long-standing members and some new faces in the audience who may not be familiar with our licensing program. I also want to extend a special welcome to several of the new members of CRL who have joined us today. I see registered folks from Hamilton College, Macalester College, all the way from India at Nalanda University is joining us, as well as North Dakota State University and the University of San Diego. So welcome to all of you to hopefully the first of many webinars that you'll be attending for CRL. Just as a quick housekeeping note, I wanted to remind everybody that to keep down on the background noise, we do mute the phones and the microphones that you may have on entry. So we are not taking voice questions today, but you are more than welcome and encouraged, in fact, to put down questions or comments into the chat box or the Q&A box, as you can see on your screen. We will take the questions into account during our presentations, but we have plenty of room as well in between the licensing and collection programs for some questions about licensing and a general discussion at the end, depending on how many questions that we have. So first, your presenters today. My name is James Simon. I am the Vice President of Collections and Services here at CRL. And joining me today for the presentation is Mary Wilke, who many of you are familiar with, our Member Liaison and Outreach Services Director. And for the first time on our webinars, I'm pleased to welcome Francis Alba, who's our Project Assistant in Licensing, who will help describe some of the processes and activities we have underway. The three of us will be presenting for about an hour, and as I said, we are more than happy to take questions or comments from you as we go. Here's the agenda for today's discussion. We wanted to express to our members why it is that we're licensing, providing an overview of our licensing, the rationale and the activities underway, to describe some of the recent offers that we've put up and some of the trends in our licensing program that we're seeing, and walk you through the processes for our licensing program so you can better understand how you can participate in this program. We'll also devote a portion of this to CRL's collection programs. The purchase proposal program deadline is coming up, so this is a very timely reminder of how you can maximize your participation in CRL through these collection programs and take your questions and answers. So I'm going to begin with an overview of CRL's electronic licensing. Licensing at CRL began, I guess, several years ago now. We've been doing this for some time. Really, we got started in this as a result of serious member inquiries about electronic resources, some of the trends we saw in the changes of distribution of scholarly material. Not as many people in the world are selling microfilm sets, but they are increasingly offering materials in electronic format. And we saw the opportunities for electronic licensing, purchases and subscriptions, as an outgrowth of our traditional collection programs. We began licensing as an alternative means of accessing some of those collections that were traditionally offered in microfilm or in print. And so we see this as a very strong evolution from our programs. Our mission really remains the same, but the manner in which we are providing access continues to change, and CRL is evolving alongside of that. So the goals of the program, as you can see here on the screen, really is expanding access to primary source materials. An equally important goal, however, to the program is really in supporting informed local investment in content. We don't see licensing as a goal in our licensing program of just getting a better price. We're not a buying club in the traditional sense. Because we see this as an extension of our cooperative collection activities, we work with the community to uncover information about the products, to learn more about what content is provided in them, to assess the platforms, the delivery mechanisms, the terms of the agreements, and to share that information among the members to better support decisions being made at the local level, at your institutions, on whether or not to buy electronic access to particular types of contents. So really it is a community participative action that we're supporting here through our licensing program. The priorities for the program really come from direct feedback from our members who help us focus and prioritize our activities, but really what we see as our strategic priorities are to focus in on where CRL has traditionally always been strongest. The licensing activities build on the historic strengths of CRL's collections. So we place emphasis on areas such as electronic news products, where we're known for our newspaper collections, statistical information, archival collections, primary source collections, data, and the like, and particularly in the areas of international resources where we've played a strong role historically in supporting access to international and foreign content. Another priority, as I suggested earlier, was to provide objective and critical analysis of content and the platforms on which they reside. We look to provide analysis, clarity, and unbiased information on products that are out there. And as a whole, really we're looking to leverage the expertise of our membership and the collective power of our membership to help shape these collections, to help shape the platforms and the decisions of commercial vendors who are out there developing products to obtain more favorable terms, not just in the price, but in how this material is being made accessible and sustained for future scholarship. So we're really looking in our program to complement other licensing activities that are out there in North America. We don't get involved in licensing of e-books, for example, or e-journals, because there are a lot of groups out there that are focused in on these activities. So we're looking really to provide a special service where perhaps there is not as much national attention. So we're not really focused in on the big deals, as it were, but we're really focused in on the specialized research materials. In many cases, however, we do offer what I believe Ann Okerson coined as the wide deals, really working with the community beyond the CRL membership and into the other consortia to arrange for consistent pricing and offers and to share in the wealth of those offers by volume or by wide participation and feedback in the particular products. And in some cases, we do assess and determine that a product offering might not be appropriate for a CRL offer, that it might be more appropriate through other consortia, such as NERL, which is administratively based here at CRL, or through Lyrasis and the like. So really, we do try to keep ourselves within a very particular focus and particular priority within our licensing. Just as an example of some of the materials that we've recently offered, we've put some of them up on the screen here, and you'll learn more about these and where you can find more information later on in the presentation. But in fiscal year 2015, which just recently ended, CRL facilitated offers for some 33 different products, including various products from the New York Times, Cengage Gale, ProQuest, Adam Matthew, Oxford University Press, Alexander Street Press, and others. The total uptake, just so you can kind of get a sense of how much activity is going on in our licensing, continues to grow. In fiscal year 15, we had a total uptake of about 250 separate purchases by 115 unique CRL institutions. So that's over half the membership that's participating in our licensing activities. There were also an additional 98 other institutions that participated in our wide deal offerings, bringing the total to about 366 product take-ups by 213 institutions. So we're talking about quite a wide network indeed, and a lot of offers that are being made throughout the course of the year. You can kind of see on this slide the scope of the materials that we're focusing in on and some of the trends of offerings that CRL has been undertaking in the past few years. News, as I said, is one of the biggest things, and the New York Times online site license or academic purchase was one of the big deals featured last year, over the past couple of years actually, where we're arranging for academic access to the online publisher's site. There's plenty more information online about that, and that is an ongoing and rolling offer if you're interested in considering access on your campus to the New York Times in the coming academic year. But news products like BBC Monitoring, the UK Press Online, were other news products that we offered. We're currently in negotiation to explore access to other publishers' sites, such as the Financial Times. We conducted a survey among our members about which products might be of interest, where we discussed that in depth at our annual Global Collections Forum. And we'll be pursuing some more of those discussions with different publishers over the course of the year, and looking for other opportunities. You can see information about statistical databases and platforms here, such as Statista, Data Planet, and geographic information systems like Landscan through Eastview Information Services. So data, statistical information are also a big focus here, as well as an increasing emphasis on financial and business information. We offered several products such as Privco, the Economist Intelligence Unit, and a variety of products from EIU, global financial data, as well as the IMF and World Bank offerings that were recently put out for our members. So that's really where we're putting increasing emphasis. We've also done a number of the historical primary source collections from Gale, such as the 19th Century Collections Online, and some of their other product offerings. We're looking forward to more offers in the coming fiscal year from Gale, as well as from other providers as well. Our future priorities really, in part, are dependent on what you're interested in. We really do seek and encourage feedback from our members as to what might be of interest to you. If you're interested in these kinds of products that CRL is seeking to offer through its electronic resource products, we do want to hear from you. We'll show you some mechanisms for feedback in just a moment, but really just even a simple email to myself, to Mary or Francis, really on what you're looking at your institutions and whether CRL might be able to leverage a broader offer. We are looking for your feedback on that. But overall, we're looking for ways in our electronic resource offerings that we can improve the scholarly research enterprise. That's the big goal here, is to help members invest in areas that make the most impact and have the most benefit for the community of members at CRL. The kind of high-impact activities I'm describing might include the types of offers where national-level investment might result in highly significant savings, or where our collective voice might be more useful in leveraging the maximum improvements to the kinds of terms that are being offered, things such as permanent access or text mining, where we can help influence the future direction of content additions or platform improvements, where we can help shape the scholarly content for the future. Another area of high impact would be where the market's not well established for academic libraries, and where the collective voice of our libraries can impact how different materials are going to be made accessible and are being preserved for the long run. So looking at the kinds of databases or publishers where the academic market may not be their primary focus, we can help swing their attention to academic licensing, the kinds of pricing and the kinds of terms that would be ideal for on-campus access, where the models are in flux, and we can help shape that information. Broadly speaking, where we can really bring the community to bear on improving the best possible access to this kinds of material is where our priorities lie. There's a lot of flexibility in that, but we do seek your feedback on what's important on your campus as well. Finally, just to wrap up the introductory part, I want to take you to CRL's website where you can find some information about this. If we go to the main page for CRL, and we're sharing that screen here, you can see in the top level navigation for our site the electronic resources section, where there's lots of information about CRL's digital collections and our licensing activities. Here I want to highlight the tools and resources for licensing, where you can discover more information. And we'll be taking you a walk through some of this information as well, in particular EtoSerrata, which is the interactive platform where we share information about products, about the terms, and about CRL's offers, and Francis will be walking us through that. In addition to that tool, however, I do want to remind folks fairly quickly, though, we do support a number of other activities around licensing. That includes administrative hosting for LibLicense, which is a listserv and a platform for model license agreements. And that is linked here from the site. And if we go down a little further, you can also see just a quick plug for the Charleston Adviser. I wanted to remind members that all CRL members and staff at institutions have free access to this online resource. The Charleston Adviser really is a professional development tool. It's a great publication where they also review different products. They're increasingly expanding to discuss issues of importance in licensing, other sites, including open access sites, and scholarly communication. So if you don't have that bookmarked, I do recommend it. And CRL occasionally participates in reviews in there, but that content is free to all CRL members by virtue of your participation in CRL. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Francis, who's going to talk a little bit more about the process and how you can participate in our licensing offers.
Hi, this is Francis. I'm going to demonstrate to you how CRL's EtoSerrata platform is being used to assist in the licensing process and to connect the CRL community. EtoSerrata was developed to provide an interactive space where CRL and its members could gather and organize information about e-resources that may be of interest to the CRL community. Upon visiting EtoSerrata, you will arrive at the dashboard where you'll be able to navigate to the list of current CRL reviews, active offers, the CRL pipeline, which lists resources that are under consideration for offers, and also a full list of resources and providers that are available on EtoSerrata will be found in the respective tabs on the top banner. That top banner is viewable throughout EtoSerrata, so anytime you want to return to the dashboard, you will be able to through that. We suggest upon first visiting the site that you sign up for your CRL login from an on-campus IP address. This login will allow you to view the offer information, post comments, and also participate in straw polls. You'll also be able to create your EtoSerrata profile, which I will go over in a bit. Another place you'll be able to use this login is on the CRL website, where you'll be able to register to CRL events, place purchase proposal nomination, and download member access only event recordings. In addition, your CRL login will allow you to suggest new e-resources to CRL. The resources entered on EtoSerrata are not only based on resources suggested by CRL staff, but it also includes ones suggested by CRL members. To show you how you can suggest the e-resources, we will now click on the Resources A to Z tab. If you scroll down a bit, on the left-hand side, you will see the Suggest a New Resource box. If you click on the link, you will be taken to a form which you can fill out and submit. Once the resource is submitted, staff members at CRL are notified via email of the new suggestion, and a stub is created. This is the starting phase of many of the resources added on EtoSerrata. We will now go back to the dashboard and go to the CRL pipeline. We will take a look at Colonial America as an example of a stub. As you can see, a stub only provides a brief overview about the resource and lists the provider. A more detailed review may later become available after CRL members have gathered more information on the resource. Once the stub is created, the resource will be added to EtoSerrata and may later be moved into the CRL pipeline, as is in this case. As mentioned before, the CRL pipeline lists the resources that are under consideration for offers. Once a resource is in the pipeline, we will be able to poll members to see if there is high enough interest to pursue an offer. You can register your own thumbs up or thumbs down at any time on the right-hand side. If you scroll down a bit, you will also see a star feature ranking system, which will allow you to rank the platform, the content, and when the offer is available, the cost of the product as well. If you were to scroll down the page a bit more, you will also find a section where you can leave a comment. When making a comment, you are able to set the privacy level however you may wish. You can select show my name and comment normally, or hide my name from everyone except CRL staff, or you can select hide my name and comment from everyone except CRL staff. If a resource polls high, CRL will then pursue an offer. This past fiscal year, we conducted about 3 polls in which we polled a total of 15 resources, of which 10 were selected for offers. One of them being Colonial America, in fact. Now, if you want to know the status of a resource, you can scroll to the top of the page, and here you will find the CRL status of a resource. The CRL flag status shows that this item is in the CRL pipeline and under consideration. Now, if a resource is selected for an offer, you will see an offer pending status as displayed here. This will let you know that CRL has started or will start negotiations with the vendor on the pricing and licensing terms. During negotiations, CRL tries to get the best pricing and terms possible. We do push back on things that may be deal breakers for individual libraries, such as a no interlibrary loan. Once the offer is accepted, the CRL status will be updated to active offer. To view the list of resources with active offers, you can go to the dashboard. Here you can click in the middle column labeled active offers. We will now click on the New York Times to see an example of an active offer. To view the actual offer information, you will need to click on the CRL Offer and Status tab. This tab will display the pricing, licensing terms, a start, and if applicable, you will also see the end date of offers. You'll also learn how to sign up for these particular offers. In addition, we do provide PDF copies of the license, which you can download and save for your files. And in addition, you will be able to find the participant agreement forms. Just a reminder, this tab is only visible if you are logged in. Additional information on the content and the interface of the resource itself can be found in the CRL reviews. We'll now go back to the dashboard and show where you can quickly access all of the CRL reviews. On the left-hand side, you'll see the CRL reviews columns. As you can see, we currently have about 108 CRL reviews published on EtoSerrata. During or after the negotiations, CRL staff will work on an objective and comprehensive review, which are fully integrated with other information about the product. We'll now click on Statista for an example. As you can see, this resource page displays the Overview tab, a Details tab, a CRL Reviews tab. You'll also find a CRL Offer and Status tab, and on occasion you'll see an Appendix tab, which will provide additional information on the resource, such as a title list or a source list. If you click on the Details tab, you will see a breakdown of the information gathered from the publisher, such as number of pages, content type, source formats, and so forth. At times, you may also find specifications about the resources that may be related to metadata, technical platform, and interface tools that may be available through the resource. Terms and providers details may also be found in this tab. Now, if you click on the CRL Reviews tab, you'll get a more in-depth assessment of the content to determine the resource extent of value, the availability and effectiveness of various platform functions, and also any undesirable licensing restrictions. Reviews also include detailed information regarding the content of the collection, platform, terms, and strengths and weaknesses. The information reflected on the review is based on the information provided by the vendor, tryout of the database through trial access, common feedback from CRL community, and on occasion, reviews are provided by CRL members that have experienced the database. When available, we will also provide links to other reviews that may be available outside of CRL, such as reviews published in the Charleston Adviser. As James mentioned, you do have free access through your institution's IP to the Charleston Adviser. CRL's goal in providing these reviews is to cut through the vague, glowing marketing claims. CRL reviews have helped to influence improvements in a number of databases, for example, addressing issues such as downloading formats and extended number of downloading allowed, limitations on personalized registered user space, or search result flexibility. In addition to CRL staff working on these reviews, we especially would like to solicit the help of subject specialists at CRL member libraries to help in writing a CRL review. There have been times in which feedback from the CRL community has been integrated into a review, such as comments posted on EtoSerrata. Some of these comments may later be expanded and integrated into the overall assessment of the database. If they seem to potentially have some value within the review itself, we may contact those that posted the comment to receive more information and insight into their comment. Therefore, we encourage the CRL community to continue to leave comments on EtoSerrata. We also ask if your library requests a trial for a database to later please leave your feedback on EtoSerrata. As mentioned, this feedback may be of great use to CRL in negotiations and to the overall CRL community. Once a resource is added to EtoSerrata, you will be able to track any changes made to a resource by using the Me EtoSerrata feature. The reviews and the offers posted on EtoSerrata may change over time. Items posted in the pipeline may later become active offers or become inactive or declined. With Me EtoSerrata, you will be able to track the changes made to the resources that may be of direct interest to you. To add a resource to your Me EtoSerrata, simply click on the watch link found on each resource page. Once a resource or sets of resources are added to Me EtoSerrata, you may also set up to receive automated email updates based on your selections. You can select the frequency in which you wish to receive the notifications. They can be sent to you on a daily or weekly basis, and they will make you aware of when the CRL status has changed, when a review is added or updated, or when an offer is available or has expired. Other ways for you to stay aware of the latest CRL offers or updates is to sign up to the CRL News Connect newsletter. This newsletter is sent out every few weeks and will provide information on new CRL offers, expiring offers, let you know when there's been extensions or if renewals are coming up, among other CRL news. You can sign up to receive this newsletter from the CRL homepage. I also send out email messages when new offers are available to CRL members, or if an offer will be expiring soon, I will send out reminders of those as well. If you're not currently receiving email announcements, please feel free to email me your contact information and I will make sure to add you to our mailing list. You're welcome to forward any communication you receive from us to other library staff members. The best way to stay connected is to visit EtoSerrata often and set up your Me EtoSerrata profile. An overview of EtoSerrata is available in the About EtoSerrata tab, which you can find at the top of every page. Included on the site is a 3-minute video introducing Me EtoSerrata. Collaboration is at the heart of the CRL community. Therefore, we encourage you to use EtoSerrata, suggest new resources, and provide us with as much feedback as possible during and after an offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. I hope that gave you a good sense of the types of resources that are available to you, and that you will go and take a test run of EtoSerrata if you've not been there before. We have a few minutes now for some questions and answers, specifically relating to the licensing activities of CRL. And we do have a couple questions that were submitted in advance, and I see a few people are also putting some questions into the chat. So please do submit your questions via the chat if you have any, and we'll be happy to answer them. Let me just get to one that was just posted. It was a question about CRL's licensing agreements, and the question was whether CRL's license agreements ever factor in post-cancellation access to the years that consortial members have paid for. And yes, the answer is yes. It's heavily dependent, of course, on the product, whether it's that's a standard feature. It is something that we always do ask about. Post-cancellation access or perpetual access are frequently things that we do negotiate for when we're making licensing offers or licensing arrangements with different publishers. It sometimes just comes down to the details or what the publisher is willing to do. There are certain cases, particularly with the financial information, where we found that we were unable to negotiate for those sort of things. In any event where we are or are not able to provide terms or anything that kind of smells fishy, we make sure to point that out in the licensing offer or in the review. The reviews have a section for terms of agreements, and if there's something extremely unusual, we'll make note of it there, because as I said, informed investment is our goal with that. So this is something that that we do encourage you to read carefully when you're looking through CRL reviews and CRL offers as well. There was a question that popped in that said, is there a general time frame that these offers typically last? That's a great question, actually. This was something that we've been working on over the course of the years. Originally, when we first started this, we were receiving very limited time offers, that is, a 2-month offer or a 3-month offer. And based on the feedback from our member representatives, we learned that really what we wanted, what was ideal, were lengthy offers that were available through the course of a 6-month period or a year. And that's something that we've been very strong in pushing for. Generally speaking, our license offers are available for no less than 3 months, I would say. Usually when we're making offers here in the fall session, we try to get them extended through, say, December, the end of December. And things that go up in the spring, we try to make last until the end of the fiscal year. It does depend on what the publisher's preference is at times, but we do make it an object of our licensing activities to push for long offers. And in the case where there may be something like a pre-publication discount, which is the case in some of the offers that we do make, we seek to extend those offers past the pre-publication. In some cases, the publishers may wish for a slightly lower discount percentage after pre-pub because their interest isn't getting their money up front, I guess. But yeah, we do try to make these last as long as possible to give libraries the time to put this up for consideration, to engage in trials, to submit it to their committees for feedback, and to make decisions on a timely basis, on your time frame, not necessarily the publisher's time frame. I hope that answered that question. There was a question about feedback on resources, and the question was specifically, do we prefer only one person from each institution provides feedback on resources, or is it okay for multiple staff from each institution to do this? In fact, EtoSerrata is open to every member of your campus. We we regulate the member access through IP range as well as through email, but that will not prohibit anybody from signing up and participating in suggesting resources, in giving things thumbs ups or thumbs downs or stars or any of the other fun tools that we have in there, or submitting substantive comments or even minor comments like, my institution has this and we love it, or this seems too expensive for my institution. We value that feedback equally. So no, absolutely not. We welcome all participation. The more the merrier as far as we're concerned. Where we have to do a little bit of interpretation is where we conduct perhaps a straw poll, where we're putting a resource up and sending it out to the community to say, are you interested in this resource? In which case we do welcome multiple feedback inputs from different institutions, but where those may come into conflict, where one person thinks it's great and the other one thinks it's awful, we'll seek to resolve that with our primary contact. That's usually the collection development officer, or in some cases the electronic resource officer, to make sure we get a clear sense of interest from your institution. But we do not preclude any participation in those. In fact, we think the multiple voices really do help provide us some information, some useful information on these products. Good. I think those were the chat ones, unless I missed one. There's a question about. Oh, this was a follow-up based on the post-cancellation access. Does CRL ever receive post-cancellation access on serials? Generally speaking, serials and subscription to journal packages are not part of our focus, so this does not frequently come up. It does perhaps come up in the case of newspapers, where a product offering does include, say, a rolling offer, a rolling window rather, for content. One of the products that we're in negotiations with right now is the Japan Times Historical Archives, being offered through Eastview Information Services. And that is being offered in partnership with the publisher of the Japan Times, where in that contract very specifically, they are looking on an annual basis to add historical content to the prior years. Each year they'll add a new year. And yes, that is something that we're negotiating for, is the post-cancellation access or perpetual license to the content that you paid for during the term of your subscription. So yes, we have done that, and that is something we push for. Great. I think that we do need to move along. Our time is up for these questions, but by all means submit them. We can catch them at the end if you have other questions about that. So as I suggested that licensing was an extension of our historical collecting priorities and our programs, we still do take the opportunity to work with our members in collection buying and collection development programs. And Mary Wilke is going to talk about some of our collection programs and how some of the tips on how you can make the greatest use of those.
Hi all, this is Mary Wilke, and as James mentioned, CRL's involvement with electronic resources really grew out of our involvement with our more traditional collection building programs where physical resources are acquired. I want to quickly review these older programs where your participation and use has helped shape CRL's collections today. The first one is the Demand Purchase Program, and it was really designed to meet individual scholars' needs at member libraries throughout the year. It covers 3 programs that CRL is most known for. Our foreign doctoral dissertation collection, where we acquire dissertations from outside the US or Canada, newspapers for which CRL may only hold 1 day's worth of a title, and archival material from national governments, NGOs, and other organizations are all eligible to be purchased for a patron at a member library. And I want to stress that the patron is your patron, not the library as a patron, but your individual patron. It is triggered by an interlibrary loan request that has a note in the borrowing notes field that if not owned, please purchase. There is a $2,000 limit per patron per fiscal year for requests for all three of the demand purchase programs. It is on a first come, first served basis as funds permit, but since I've been here since 1995, the funds in all three of these programs have never been totally spent. So at the last quarter, I may shift funding over to one that needs it more. The next program is the Purchase Proposal Program, and that takes place in the fall with its ballot. It provides access to important collections which may be too costly or too esoteric for individual libraries to acquire. Such sets also tend not to be readily available through interlibrary loan. A how-to video explaining the steps of nomination and voting can be found on the CRL YouTube channel, and nominations for this program are still being accepted through the end of September. If you have any questions with this, please consult with me. I often aid in the creation of a nomination from our member libraries. The next program is the Shared Purchase Program, and this occurs in the spring if there are items to ballot. So some years you may not see any shared purchase ballot. It operates much like a buying club, with the cost of the purchase being shared by those members interested in the material. Items on the ballot could be material that were not of wide enough interest to be purchased through the purchase proposal ballot, or they could be sets for which a library may not wish to wait for the purchase proposal ballot in the fall. The nominating library and CRL provide seed funding on the initial ballot, and those members who can pledge money do so. At the end, CRL buys those items that are fully funded, and then this way CRL provides access to another $30,000 to $80,000 worth of materials that all members can use. It is not limited to only the members that contributed to the purchase. Here you see some examples of materials purchased through these programs in the past. And you can see that they really run the gamut from Central American archival materials to the files of the Communist Party of Japan to a dissertation that we funded through ETHOS, the digitizing of it. Through all these programs, both electronic and physical, CRL helps connect researchers, libraries, and institutions to important source materials. I am frequently asked for examples of these programs. Last year, a member library had researchers interested in the newspaper, the Minneapolis Star, from 1958 through 65. The paper is of special interest in this period for musicology and labor history. CRL already owned parts of this title. So when I was contacted by two librarians, I shared with them my thoughts on how best to handle this. I told them that since we already owned it, we could immediately buy $2,000 worth of it, and to find out which year did the researchers need the most. So we placed that order through the demand purchase program, but then I helped them with creating a nomination for the remaining years, which was then balloted on the purchase proposal ballot. Unfortunately, it was not ranked high enough against some other items so that this was actually carried on, and the nominating library contributed funds in the springtime to get it on the shared purchase ballot. They contributed funds, CRL contributed funds, and we balloted, and then enough member libraries pledged funds, so we were able to buy it. That's just one example of how these programs works. If you have other questions, this is the question and answer period, and I'd love for you to ask anything you might want.
Mary, we had a question come in earlier about in the purchase proposal program and the licensing program. I think the sense of the question is a lot of these early microfilm sets are now being digitized by the publishers, and when it comes in, how do we know? Does CRL check to see if it's being digitized? What's the preferred process in this?
Right. When nominations close at the end of September, CRL staff here does some background research, and one of the questions we automatically ask the publisher or vendor is, are you having plans to digitize this material in anytime soon? That was the case with the Minneapolis Tribune, Minneapolis Star, which later became the Minneapolis Star Tribune. But the answer for that was the vendor said they didn't consider it to be a Tier 1 newspaper, so they had no plans to ever digitize it.
We had a similar question about participation with these programs, and particularly the purchase program. Who can submit purchase proposals? Can you tell us just a little bit more about how people can give input on the program?
Oftentimes, I hear from librarians who are working with either end researchers or professors, or they themselves have noticed that their library lacks something that they wish CRL would buy for the CRL community. I will work with anyone, but if it is not a librarian from the member institution, I will bring the librarians in on this.
Speaking of helping people through the discussions, a question came in that said, what process do we follow to investigate a microfilm purchase of a regional newspaper, for example?
The best way, personally, is to send me an email. I would check to see if we have any holdings, because if we even have 1 day's worth of the title, it automatically qualifies for the demand purchase program. However, we can only buy in $2,000 chunks per patron per fiscal year. However, if we don't already own it, I would then suggest that we work on a nomination for the material. And this came up with a newspaper title several years ago, the Knickerbocker something or other, which was very interesting. It was a regional newspaper from the first half of the 20th century in what was then the wealthiest area in the country. And it had great marketing use because it was known that the readers were your top tier classes. It had use for several reasons, but it showed. I won't go into that more. Sorry.
Good. Finally, what are some tips to improve the chances of my proposal being accepted?
Again, send me an email message. I work with you. I know, having dealt with the purchase proposal since 1995, I know several things that just seem to affect the outcome. I know that the price of the item, the more expensive it is, the less likely it is to get purchased, because our community would rather see us buy more items than one big expensive item. So I'll work with you even if the item is not easily divisible or divided into smaller parts, and suggest that we propose it much like what happened with the Vietnam newspapers balloted last fall, over 1 or 2 or even 3 years, so that the item is reasonable, because we can do that. And my email address will, yes, someone put up the screen. Okay, great, sorry.
Yeah, and by all means, do get in contact with Mary and Francis for the licensing issues. We are here at your disposal to answer more of these questions. Before we just wrap up, I did have one reminder from a participant that to point out a little bit about the lib license, model license. And this is just a little bit of add-on information. If we can go to CRL's website and specifically go to the liblicense.crl.edu. I just wanted to mention, and we did a webinar on this last year, which is available on our YouTube channel, that the support for the lib license model license agreement was something that recently we undertook in cooperation with an advisory group and Ann Okerson, our senior advisor for electronic strategies, to update and revise the model license agreement to better reflect some of the current trends and the current clauses that are desirable in licensing agreements. So the lib license site here you can see on your screen is a great resource for electronic resource librarians or EROs, and I do encourage you to take a look at that. In addition, there's a whole lot of other information on there. The model license has incorporated additional information in it now that include things such as authors' rights, text mining provisions, perpetual access, and provisions for third-party archiving as well. More recently, in April of this year, the LibLicense software, which is more of an interactive tool to help build a license based on some of these agreements, was released, and it's available on the site. You can see on the tab on the top right side the LibLicense software. This is something that you can download and play with, where you can craft a custom-made license for a particular product, or just use bits and pieces from the software language, rather from the model license language, to insert into your other licenses as well. So that's just a bit of a plug for that. I do encourage you to take a look at that and see if it's useful for your own institutions.
I do have one other follow-up. Sometimes an item is so niche-y that even though a database is coming out for it, the members of the community that would be interested in it prefer for CRL to buy the microfilm because it is not highly likely to be used enough to warrant spending the money for the electronic database. That's just one final thought on that.
Thank you, Mary. This is Virginia Kerr at CRL. If we don't have any more questions or comments right now, I would like to encourage you to take a look at our speakers' contact information. Please do feel free to contact each and every one of them about your questions. I'd like to also remind you of upcoming CRL webinars, which have been scheduled for the early fall. We have our semi-annual general introduction to our collections and services will be offered on the 30th of September, and we have just posted a topical webinar on South Asian resources, which will be held on October 14th. These are very popular to delve into various aspects of our area studies collections materials. So we're pleased to have that, and we'll have a few outside speakers at that webinar. Registration is available now for both of those events. We greatly value your feedback and encourage you to fill out the brief online survey, which appears linked at the conclusion of this webinar when you log out. A recording of this presentation will soon be posted on CRL's YouTube channel, so you'll be able to review certain parts or share information with your colleagues. We'll send all the webinar registrants an email noting the link to the recorded version when it's available. And don't forget that you can receive updates on CRL's collections, services, and upcoming programming events by subscribing to our online newsletter, CRL Connect. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much and good afternoon.